Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I am a cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court appointed and private, marriage counseling, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life and business coaching assistance. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Counseling and Therapy Services at 301-325-1550. Today, I'm very excited to have at our podcast episode number 18, a very special guest, Matthew Sinkovitz. Just like every of my past episodes, I will leave it up to the guest to properly introduce themselves as no one can do a better job. Matthew, the floor is yours.
Dr. Dan, thanks so much for having me here today. And yes, my name's Matt Sinkovitz, and I'm what I call a porn abstinence accountability coach. And I help men, husbands, and fathers, and purpose-driven entrepreneurs end their habit of watching porn so they can reignite the passion in their relationships and be better role models to their children. I run an online support group of about 800 men from around the world that are working to create long-term freedom from pornography in their own lives.
Great. Now, do you focus primarily on men, or does that mean that women are not also addicted to porn?
Correct. Yeah, I do focus my work on men. However, I've come to recognize that men that a lot of women throughout the world also deal with pornography addiction. However, my focus is to support men in this work.
Okay, so if you could give me a little bit of history, I know that I would say pornography has been there for a long, long time. And now with the internet, we have seen an increase of usage, or I would say viewers that are more, because now it's more free. If you go to a different website, youporn.com or Blazer or whatever it is, it's more available. So does that mean because of this availability, people are more likely to wanting to go and watch it? Or is it something because it's missing in their marriage, or something is missing in their relationship?
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably all of that. I think maybe more now than ever in the world, people are hurting, you know. But I think the reason we are seeing an increase in it, Dr. Dan, is because of the ease of access of it. Now, like, easier than ever, just with the touch of a button, we can really access unlimited porn, probably, years and years and years worth of porn. We could never get through it, everything that's available out there, genres and genres and genres, and as people consume more and more, just like any drug, they need, harder and harder fixes, and they need more and more as genres evolve. So there's unlimited stuff out there. And I think just like some people go to food or cigarettes or drugs or alcohol to meet certain emotional needs and to deal with life, people now have this option. Sex addiction has been a very real thing for a long time, and now it's just such an ease of access. And in regard to younger and younger ages, having access to it, the kids out there today are being handed these cell phones from a very early age with I think in a lot of cases no real restrictions around them. So I think people are getting hooked on porn a lot earlier than maybe you and I had the opportunity to do whenever we were younger.
Okay, great. Now, let me know if it's a true assumption or not. But are people who are addicted to porn are more likely to cheat, or pornography will kind of like keep them busy to just watch and not act on it? Is it something that we can assume?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if there's an exact yes or no or clear answer to that. I think, a lot of people actually view porn as cheating, as infidelity. Whether the man, whenever he goes to pornography, feels as though he's cheating on his wife, or a lot of times women feel as though men, whenever they're going to pornography regularly, that's an act of infidelity in itself. So pornography use could be an indication that there's a larger kind of general sex addiction at play. So we may see that. And yeah, on the other side of the coin as well, I think it's fair to assume that if a man is keeping his attention focused there, it may prevent him or satisfy him enough to feel as though he doesn't need to go out outside of his marriage. But I'm not sure if there's a real clear, definitive yes or no answer to either side of that.
I see. Okay. But when it comes to those who are addicted to pornography, how does your program, Matthew, can help them ease that addiction? Do you bring them through a certain process that has been clinically proven to work for certain type of addiction? Now, you mentioned earlier that food addiction or sex addiction or cigarette or alcohol or narcotics, whatever it is, they don't act the same in the brain as porn addiction, or would it actually trigger a certain satisfactory hormones in the brain? How does that work in this regard?
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I look at this correlation because at one time in my life, doctor, I smoked cigarettes, and and I've also had a really compulsive relationship with food for a lot of my life, which I've been working through, and I see similar relationships there. Whenever I was smoking regularly, oftentimes I would go to smoke a cigarette just to meet another need. Maybe I was feeling stressed out. Maybe I feeling lonely. Maybe I was feeling tired. Maybe I was feeling agitated, and I was just looking for some kind of fix. I've noticed a correlation there, and the same reason for food. A lot of times, whenever I go to unhealthy, or I have the tendency or the desire to go to unhealthy food or junk food or mindless eating, a lot of times it's just to meet another need. So you asked, how do we work to address the relationship with pornography in the lives of men? We do it through a number of things. And one of the ways that we do work with our men to help them better understand their relationship with porn, we're a mindfulness-based program. So we help men really cultivate greater levels of awareness around the needs that they've been attempted to meet by going to porn, and then how to meet those needs in a healthier way. So we really create awareness around the thoughts and the feelings and the relationship between those thoughts and feelings and the actions that they're taking.
I see. Okay. Now, as we know, there's like four type of hormones in the brain that triggers happiness. We have the dopamine, serotonin, endorphin, and oxytocin. So the porn addiction triggers which specific part of that hormone? Is it like serotonin, or is it oxytocin that brings the pleasure? Because I know that sex is more serotonin, if I'm not mistaken, versus other kind of happy hormones. So which one does the porn addiction triggers the most?
I've understood there's actually a relationship between pornography and the sex addiction and the dopamine, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Okay.
That's oftentimes the fix that we're going for. Same with the addiction that we oftentimes experience in relationship to screen addiction or social media addiction. There seems to be a correlation there, Dr. Dan.
Okay. So your program, how long does it last to really take a man from severe addiction of hard porn to becoming less likely entangled in that web of
Mhm.
sexual fantasy?
Yes. So whenever I begin working with a man, I typically tell him that it's a year-long process with a 90-day commitment. So ultimately, my goal is to help get a man to 1 year free of porn, 1 year abstinence from porn. I know if we can help him get to a year porn free, and also in that time install the right software, install the right ways of thinking and approaching this, then he's got a good chance at long-term sobriety. However, our program is the initial commitment is for 90 days. It's called the Liberation Boot Camp. So we
Okay.
take our men through a very intensive 90-day process to help them get from 0 to 90 days porn free as quickly as possible. And in the place of that, install all the right habits and behaviors and ways of operating that support him in his long-term sobriety. So 90 days is the format for our program, but we have an extended support program to actually get them to a year porn free, which is our goal.
So do you support them on a day-to-day basis? Because obviously you're not there physically to be able to hold their hands and say, hey, 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 don't go there. So how do you provide that 90-day support that allows them to understand their behavior and to stop themselves from typing on the address bar the
Yeah.
porn site? How do you, I mean, is there something that they have to contact you, say, hey, Matthew, I'm feeling the urge. What do I do?
hmm Yeah, accountability is such a big piece of the puzzle, Dr. Dan. So our program is kind of a hybrid process. It's and the crux of the program is a group program, a group process. So we've got a couple calls a week that they're required to participate in throughout the week, but we also do daily accountability check-ins, which they are required to participate in. So we have like a group chat.
Okay.
And every day, the men that are going through the boot camp are required to check in through the group chat and show up, to raise their hand, to say I'm here, and to say I'm present. And we also have a couple other pieces of software that we use to help them stay accountable and to track their sobriety. But yeah, we're in connection with our guys for the first 90 days of the program every day.
Oh, that's actually a very good support. And when it comes to the amount of men in that group, usually you take a maximum of like 8, 10 men, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, we max out at about 12 because we want to make sure that we're able to provide a high level of support to all the guys going through. We do have a couple spaces available right now, but yeah, we really want to focus on quality over quantity. So we max out at about 12 guys at a time going through the program.
So okay, so then once the 90 days is complete, what is the percentage of these men that require an extensive support versus those who actually, you know what, I feel that I'm liberated from porn and I could go on my own. What is the range between the success rate, I would say, primarily?
Yeah, I'd say about half of our guys actually stay on with us for the extended support program, which is really our high recommendation. Some of our guys go through our process and they feel through what they've gotten in the first 90 days, that's everything that they need. And a lot of guys, they stay as members in our community, and I stay in close communication with our clients long term, and they report that they're still doing well. The support that they received through the boot camp gave them what they need to maintain long-term sobriety. However, I find that if you're out of community and you're out of accountability for an extended period, oftentimes those good habits and behaviors that you established, they can begin to wane. So I think a big piece of the puzzle long term, I've created a process. It's called the Freedom Framework. And one of the components of the Freedom Framework, or actually two of them, is long-term community and a long-term accountability. Just like people in AA or other kind of programs like that, I think long-term community, long-term accountability is a big piece of the puzzle long-term. So I'd say half of our guys stay with us beyond the 90 days. And some just say that they're good after the first 90 days. Oftentimes they do come back though.
Yeah, I could imagine. Do you go cold feet when it comes to the 90 day? I mean, do you let people just interrupt completely the urge to wanting to go to porn, or they go from 7 days a week to 5 days to 3 days, kind of like ease them through the program? I mean, how does that work? Because chances are, if they go cold turkey, they want to go back. It's too much of a hit in the mind.
It is tough, Dr. Dan. And so for the 90 days, what we do is, our processes is complete abstinence from porn. That is what we recommend. That is what we suggest. It's kind of like an alcoholic that wants to kind of slowly wean himself off alcohol. I'm not sure if there's a healthy relationship that can be had with alcohol for an alcoholic. It's just going to it's going to be problematic. And I know we're not talking about alcohol here. We're talking about something different, but we do find that there's a similar relationship in that complete abstinence is really the way to go. Now, with that, we do recommend and encourage healthy forms of masturbation still, if it's not compulsive and it's not interrupting your life, and also healthy forms of sexual connection with, like, loving sexual connection with a partner. So you can still have that outlet. We've identified that the porn is really the toxic piece of the puzzle. So our process for the 90 days is we do recognize it's a bite-sized piece of it's a bite-sized process. So throughout our program, though it is group, I also have a series of one-on-one calls with our guys, and we dig in and we kind of assess where they are. So if they're watching porn and masturbating 4 or 5 times a day, which is some guys have it, that might be abrupt, So we'll just take it a day at a time, then maybe 3 days, and we support them with little kind of micro commitments that they can say yes to that supports them in kind of weaning themselves off of the pornography. And then once they get moving in the group program, we have our guys committing to 7 days at a time. Just 7. Can you commit to 1 week of abstinence at a time? And that's usually a bite size for the general guy. That's usually a bite size commitment that he feels as though he can make as he comes into the program. And we have our guys in the safety of our community do weekly kind of commitments to the rest of the group to support them in that 1 week at a time to get them to the 90 days.
Yeah, I would think that the 1 week is more digestible
Right.
versus like
Exactly.
90 days from someone who's been watching porn for what, like 5, 10 years, coming to
Yep.
interrupting completely for 90 days is one hell of a shock. So
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think that the 7 days, you know what? I can do 7 days. And after 7, you could add another 7 and another and another. And before they knew it, they actually got it done for all 90 days. Now,
Yes.
yourself, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you told me you did suffer from this porn addiction. So everything that you've done yourself, are you applying and you putting it to all the people that you're mentoring?
Yes, that's how I developed and designed this process. Part of my journey is that I suffered with a 20 plus year pornography addiction, just like a lot of the guys that come into our program from my young teens into my 30s. And so I ultimately had to go and do what the guys in our program do. I went out and hired a coach, and I worked inside of a group program. I got into that accountability. I got into the community. I got the framework, and I did the deep work required to create the awareness and make the shifts in my own life. So as I went through my own process and kind of navigated my own way out of compulsive relationship with pornography, I kind of mapped out the process, and I said what worked for me, and I put the program together based upon the process that supported me in creating long-term freedom in my own life.
Beautiful. But when it comes to what worked for you, as you and I know, it requires some sort of customization because everyone has a different cause and effect as to why they became addicted to porn. So, how do you implement your strategy that worked for you and that can work for others? I mean, is there some tweaking that you have to do, understanding their past, understanding what they've gone through, what are the deep core issues in their own personal life that brought them to this addiction? So, how do you manipulate all that?
Yeah. So we give them a general framework, Dr. Dan. I think that's a great question that really works for everyone, because so it is a very unique process for everyone. Everyone's childhood experiences were different. Everyone's triggers are different. Everyone has a different relationship with sexuality in general. So it is a different process for everyone, but the structure still works. As I mentioned, we're a mindfulness-based program. So our reading and our writing and our journaling, the work that they're doing on their own throughout the week, really prompts them to go in and explore their own journey and identify their own relationship with pornography, their own emotional wounds, the ways in which they've been coping individually. And that process of awareness is a process that can work for anyone, despite or regardless of kind of their own unique journey. Another thing we really help a man do is get into his own personal sense of power. So as they remove the unhealthy habit or relationship with pornography, we help them plug in the healthy habits of daily exercise, daily meditation, daily reading and writing to help them grow and connect to their own sense of power and personal responsibility in their lives. So that's something that anybody can relate to regardless of their journey. We also, our program, our process is called Porn to Purpose. So we also help the men really connect with their why, their vision for their life, their sense of purpose. What am I really called here to do? And really helping them connect with the greater sense of meaning for their own life. That's something regardless of the person. Everyone kind of has that in them. Maybe the flame's been squelched, but I think we all have that in our hearts. So we help them reconnect with and rekindle that flame to support them in the long-term journey. So the program and the process is really designed to provide a general framework that anyone can fit into.
So would you ever consider opening it for the ladies, or you're just primarily focusing on men because you're a man, obviously? So do you communicate or do you connect better with men versus the ladies? Is this why you actually focus primarily on men?
Yeah, I do connect well with the ladies, and I'm not saying I wouldn't ever open it up for the women. However, I really decided to dig in around the men because that is what I understand. That was my own personal experience as a man to kind of chart that territory, and I can relate to the struggles, to the problems, to the pain, to the challenges that men are dealing with out there today. So I'm familiar with that journey, which is why I focused in on the male side of the journey for the time being. But of course, it's always possible. I do have women that reach out to me and say, "Hey, porn's been an issue for me in my life." Exactly. And sometimes women request to join the group, but we've made our current situation a really safe space just for men at this time.
Now, those who actually, because I know there's also Sex Addicts Anonymous.
Yeah.
So, are you encroaching in the same principle as those who actually go into those groups with sex addiction versus porn addiction? I mean, there must be some similarity between both in terms of how you solve their problem.
Mm-hmm. I think there are some similarities. I haven't dug into those processes too deeply, but yeah, there's Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous and Sex Addicts Anonymous. There are different programs out there that do support men in this work. But yeah, I don't think it's an encroachment. A lot of the times, the guys come into our program and process have already had experience in those programs, and they're looking for more. Maybe they're looking for a more powerful commitment, or maybe they're looking for more engaged community, or maybe they're just looking to really kind of step up their commitment and their engagement in the process.
So that's actually something I wanted to ask you, Matt. When it comes to intimacy, after men have gone through your program, let's say they have a significant other, do you feel that their relationship improves immediately right after? Is it because now they're putting less attention on a fantasy world and they put it more into reality, or are they disappointed because they don't experience what they've seen during pornography or watching pornography? How is that on both sides? Is it better or worse?
I think ultimately it's better, and so you can't exactly say how long it's going to be until a man starts to experience greater connection or greater intimacy in his romantic or sexual connections. I think it's a little different for everyone. I can say in my own experience, even a couple of days off of pornography, even a week off of pornography, I'm starting to show up in relationships differently. I'm starting to connect differently. I've had a different experience there. So I think abstinence from pornography provides immediate feedback. But when we're talking about intimacy and connection within marriage or within relationships, I think that's something that takes time. That also is something that requires trust from the other partner. So I think a partner maybe require some time to kind of say, all right, I'm noticing the changes he's making. I'm beginning to open up the trust a little bit more, and the intimacy is beginning to reemerge in our relationships. And maybe it doesn't immediately take form in sexual intimacy. Maybe it's just intimacy and trust within the relationship. Maybe the man is more present now in the relationship, and they can open up a little bit more. Maybe they feel a little bit more close. Maybe she senses that she's noticing shifts energetically a little bit. So I think it takes some time for that intimacy to really re-engage. But I do believe that the shifts you can begin to feel just within a couple of days. And that's one of the most beautiful things that I get to observe in our process is when a man who's, oftentimes our men come to the program and as late as in life as their 50s, and they've been dealing with pornography for 40 years of their life. So they come in, they're disconnected in their marriage. There's no trust there. They feel like a stranger in their own home. That intimacy is not there. The trust is not there. They're not present in the home. But once they begin to make these shifts, to see that intimacy to begin to emerge, the connection begin to reemerge. Yeah, the intimacy in the bedroom, ED issues and stuff like that, oftentimes begin to go away, and men kind of are able to step back into their power in the home and in the bedroom. It's a beautiful thing to witness.
Beautiful. Tell people, the listeners, how can anyone find you or find your services, either through Facebook or Instagram? Because I want the listeners to know, well, look, I've been dealing with a porn addiction, and now finally you have the guest that I was looking for. So please share this with the listeners.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Dan. So my name is Matt. Last name is Sinkovitz, Sinkovitz. So that's how you can find me. You can find me on Facebook fairly easily that way. I've got the group I mentioned there is called Porn to Purpose, which is a private Facebook group of about 800 men from around the world. Porn to Purpose. You can find us there. And you can also email me directly. That's an easy way to reach me at makingpeacewithporn@gmail.com. That's an easy way to reach me as well.
Do you have a YouTube channel by any chance, Matthew?
I do have a YouTube channel. You can find me, again, if you just look up the spelling of my name. I believe on YouTube, my YouTube channel name is The Inspired Light.
Oh, it is.
Inspired Light.
Okay. Have you ever considered like posting videos about certain strategies that can help men, those who actually are not really fully committed to the 90 days, but at least give them an idea on how to fix their addiction?
Yes, I do post stuff on there as well, and I'm also on TikTok. I've got a TikTok channel now, and that's
Oh, okay.
at Porn to Purpose as well, and I'm doing daily TikTok videos on that as well.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that is all the time that we have for today's episode. I do appreciate you, Matthew, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us. Thank you for participating and inspiring our many listeners with your incredible story. Now, we hope you have all enjoyed today's episode. I'm very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories, just like the one you listened to today. Now, here are a few concluding words of wisdom. Intimacy is not something that just happened between two people. It is a way of being alive. At every moment, we're choosing either to reveal ourselves or to protect ourselves, to value ourselves or to diminish ourselves, to tell the truth or to hide, to dive into life or to avoid it. Intimacy is making the choice to be connected to rather than isolated from our deepest truth at that moment. My name is Dr. Dan Amzalag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life. And that's it.
Thank you, Dr. Dan.
Wow, that was really amazing, Matthew. I know that we could have gone on for another hour or so.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to jump into another podcast, but I'm going to send me the connection on Facebook. Yep. I'm going to tag you in all the different groups that I have. Certain groups, as you know, on Facebook, they're very reluctant to be able to put, to put links outside of their group. You see what I mean? So they may reject my post with the podcast, but that's fine. This is basically a part of it, nothing we can do. But other groups, they always love the content that I post. They always encourage it, and I get a lot of comments, a lot of engagement. So that's good. I mean, I really have a lot of listeners. So I hope that among those listeners, we may have some people who have those kind of addictions, and that will help them either contact you or at least understand where it's all coming from.
Thank you, Doctor. And I want to say I really appreciate you having me today. I'll follow up with you on Facebook and make sure we're connected. And I would also love to reciprocate, and I would be happy to interview you inside of our community as well if you'd like to come in as a guest sometime, and you can promote your programs as well through that.
That will be wonderful. Let me know when you guys have a group setting, and then you and I, we can discuss about the psychology behind what's going on with the addictions.
You got it, Doctor. That sounds great.
Have a good one, sir.
Thank you, sir. You as well. Bye-bye.